Hi, I'm Andy Stanley. Thanks for taking a couple of minutes to let me tell you about my new book, The Principle of the Path. As you probably know, most writers and communicators would admit to having a couple of topics they love writing or talking about. These are life messages, ideas they are passionate about because of the difference they've made in their own lives. And consequently, they're lessons that they wish everyone would embrace. Well, the principle of the path is one of those ideas for me. I've been talking about this since I started in ministry over 20 years ago. The principle is simple, but it is far-reaching. It affects each of our lives every single day, and it affects every single area that we consider important. Throughout the book, I state the principle of the path like this: direction, not intention, determines our destination. Direction, not intention, determines our destination. The direction we choose, not our intentions, determines where we end up in life. This is true financially, relationally, professionally, academically, and even spiritually. Now, nobody would argue with this principle when applied to a physical path, a road, or a highway. Everybody in Atlanta knows that you'll never get to Florida if you get on I-85 and go north. You can pack all the sunscreen and t-shirts you want. You can pray and ask God for traveling mercies. But if you go north on I-85, you will be in South Carolina in no time, regardless of your intentions. But what's intuitive in the realm of highway travel is not so obvious in other areas of life. So, couples marry with a vision of living happily ever after, while embracing relational habits that will eventually take them far from their desired destination. I've talked to too many single men and women who dream of meeting Mr. or Mrs. Right while engaging in activities that lead them into one bad relationship after another. Nobody plans to end up far from their desired destination, relationally, financially, or professionally, but people often do. And when they tell their stories, I find myself thinking, this could have been avoided. What led you to believe that those behaviors, habits, or actions would eventually lead you to a good place? I've talked to countless people from just about every walk of life who have made terrible life decisions under the assumption that their good intentions, their pure motives, and their hard work would somehow trump the principle of the path. But it never does. At the same time, I've watched students, singles, and married couples leverage this principle to their advantage. I've seen individuals gain clarity over where they want to be someday and then choose a path that will actually get them there. Paths that oftentimes run contrary to culture, but paths with a predictable and desirable outcome. Perhaps what makes this a life message for me is that I was blessed to be raised in a family where I was taught early on what it meant to trust in the Lord with all of my heart and to lean not on my own understanding, which in this context means I was taught to trust God's choices even when it was difficult for me to connect the dots between where His path seemed to lead and where I wanted to go. I was taught to, in all of my ways, acknowledge God, knowing that He would direct my path. And so now, I have an opportunity to share this message with you. I hope you enjoy the principle of the path.